All right, welcome back to the channel. Well, Teofimo Lopez said it. I didn't say it. But Teofimo Lopez kind of lights in on Devin Haney a little bit and lets him know, tells him that he's really not a champion. It's tough words to say, and if they're technically not true, that's what he said. He's technically a champion, but not really a champion. That's some hard words, man. But but he does say, Teofimo Lopez does say that he believes that the Devin Haney fight will happen. And he talks about where it'll happen and how big a fight that thing really could be, which is at the same time showing a lot of respect to Devin Haney. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back. Thank God for the lightweight division. That's what I say anyway, because I'm going to keep talking about this boxing. I'm going to keep chopping it up with you, man. If there's something interesting in the sport of boxing, and I find a lot of stuff interesting. I love a lot of the stuff that goes on outside the ring, the smack talking between fighters that allow you to talk about, what the matchup would actually be like, whether or not the fight really can happen. If it happens, where will the fight happen? That type of crystal ball stuff, it feeds off of the guys like these lightweight fighters that are doing so much talking during this virus, man. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm loving it. I love that Ryan Garcia is active and out there talking about the fights that he wants to make, keeping people's eyes on him. I love it. I love that Devin Haney is doing the same thing, that Teofimo Lopez is doing the same thing. These guys are young fighters that are trying to grow their fan base and who have, social media savvy. And by that, I mean, they have it in their pockets and they're used to communicating that way. So it's no big deal with them, but they're staying engaged with boxing fans. And I think that is a great thing. Teofimo Lopez said something though, in an interview. It was really hardcore, man. And there's some truth to it. But at the same time, man, it's not on Devin Haney. That's on other people. Now, here's a little bit of the background before I get into it, because quite honestly, we're getting a lot more, newer boxing fans that don't always know what the background is to some of this stuff. So I have to take a couple seconds just to get people's, head around the history that, the recent events that have taken place that set this up. So Teofimo Lopez is the IBF Is he the IBF? Yep, he's the IBF because he beat Richard Comey. He's the IBF 135-pound champion, which is the lightweight champion. And then you have Devin Haney, who is the WBC champion in recess. And what that means is that he was the champion, the regular champion for the WBC, but he was stripped of his title because he had a shoulder injury. And as a result of that shoulder injury, the WBC moved him out of his championship and moved him over to this slot called the champion in recess, which means that he has the ability when his injury heals to demand a fight with whoever becomes the champion. In this case, it would be a fight as of the time of this video. It is, as far as I know for sure, there was a fight mandated for that WBC belt between Luke Campbell, the Olympian. Is he an Olympic gold medalist? I think he might be an Olympic gold medalist. He's definitely an Olympian. I think he's an Olympic gold medalist from the UK, who has fought for the WBC championship before in a fight against Vasily Lomachenko and lost. Well, he is supposed to fight Javier Fortuna, who for that vacant belt. Javier Fortuna was the mandatory for Devin Haney before he got stripped. So that's pretty much the background. Now, what Teofimo Lopez is saying is that Devin Haney isn't a real champion. Technically, he was a champion, but he's not a real champion because he didn't beat anybody. Now, when I read the article that this took place in, that this was I read the article where I got the information. I also saw the video, but when I see the video, I also like to, there's Boxing 24 a lot of time will do articles about what was said. So then they do a pretty good job transcribing what happened. So, I watched the video originally one time, but then I'll go to their article about it and read what he said. But so in reading what Teofimo Lopez said, it wasn't clear about whether or not he was saying that Devin Haney hadn't fought the level of competition that Teofimo Lopez had, or whether or not he was talking about the WBC situation. Now, if it was the first, where he's talking about the actual level of competition that he's faced and Devin Haney has faced, I think it's about what and what. The advantage would in that particular situation would probably go to Teofimo Lopez because of Richard Comey. But some people have said, now I don't know if I really co-sign that or whatever, but Santiago, there are people that believe that Santiago, the guy that Devin Haney did beat when when he defended his WBC title, right? Because he was actually elevated from the mandatory position to the regular championship status, to the championship status when Vasily Lomachenko took a franchise belt and left. Now, see, you hear all this explaining I got to do? WBC, this is one of the major problems with boxing, dude. You literally have to have a diagram to figure out who and why and what is the champion over there at the WBC. It's ridiculous. It's comedy, man. Their belts, the WBC belt structure is comedy. It is worse. It's worse than the WBAs. Anyway, I'm not going to go off into that too much in this video. Well, yes, I am, but let me do it in order. Anyway, so I don't really see, other than that, the Richard Comey, who I was more familiar with because Richard Comey gave a great fight to Robert Easter Jr., and he beat the brakes off of Ray Beltran, who's a good fighter. But so for that, I might give the advantage to, as far if what Teofimo Lopez is talking about is the actual people that they fought. But if he's speaking about what I think, which is that belt situation, if he's speaking about the belt situation, in that case, Devin Haney, really, what he's saying about Devin Haney is probably correct. Which is that, and I've heard people say it in a little bit less polite terms, and they called him the WBC email champion, right? First, or they called him the email champion because he would be the first person ever to win a title 2 times, both via email notes. And that's would be the truth. If Devin Haney was reinstated, and even that is up for question, if Devin Haney is reinstated as the WBC champion because of the length of this corona thing, right? And if he's able to work, he gets a letter of clearance or whatever. If they reinstate him, I don't think they're going to restate him because that's too much like right for the WBC. And I think that Eddie Hearn's up to some shadiness personally, from the outside looking in. But anyway, if they did reinstate it, he would have gotten both of his championship wins by email. When the first email would have been from the WBC after Vasily Lomachenko was elevated to another WBC belt called the franchise belt, or the franchise champion, which means that he just is a champion for fucking ever and never, excuse my language. Dang, I can't believe I said that. He's just a champion forever, and he gets and I guess unless he loses, but even then, if he retires or whatever, he can move into champion emeritus. After all that nonsense happened, then Devin Haney gets an email saying you're the champion, right? So he doesn't even get to walk in the ring and fight Santiago and win the belt, which would have been the right thing to do. Just let him go in there and vacate the belt, and then you make the fight between Devin Haney and Santiago for the belt. But for some reason, the WBC gave him the belt ahead of time. I wonder if it was for like some sanctioning fees or something like that. I don't know why they would do that, but that's what they did. Anyway, so that's an email. The second one is if they reinstate him and they say, hey, your injury is now that your injury is healed or we got this pause in boxing, we're going to give you your belt back. That would be another email. So 2 email championships, one for Devin Haney, not through his fault, but for the ridiculous processes and procedures and completely ad hoc administration of the WBC and their rules. That's not on Devin Haney. That is on the WBC, and it is absolutely ridiculous. So if Gervonta Davis, if Teofimo Lopez is talking about that, hey man, I can understand why he'd say that. But if he's saying from like the level of fighter, I don't really see the difference. Teofimo Lopez has one good fighter, one guy, and that's Richard Comey. That's it. Now, both of these fighters moving forward, what Teofimo Lopez said about moving forward, though, is that he thinks that the fight is going to happen. The fight's should happen at 140 pounds because they're both growing and moving. They're both still growing and going to wind up getting into the 140-pound division. He said that he believed that fight with him and Devin Haney could wind up being like Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford fight at 140. And I think that's a very good observation. Those guys are both around the same age. They're both former world champions. Both, if they go to 140 pounds, will be very, very near the top of that division. Especially because Josh Taylor's not long for that division, right? Josh Taylor is going to be up at 147 in a heartbeat after he fights Jose Ramirez. But, Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor right now are running 140. But I think Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez both have a chance to beat both those guys. And, fighting each other could very well be a huge fight. So it was nice to hear that Teofimo Lopez acknowledged that. I do believe that that's a super fight. And it's just really good conversation out of Teofimo Lopez, man. Teofimo Lopez is a beast. And, he really has the opportunity to beat all of these guys. Devin Haney, the same thing. Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. Leave your message, all that good stuff, man. We'll chop it up in the next video. And with that, I'm out. Peace.